So you ever just find something and you don't really remember where you found it, but well, here you are anyway, so you might as well do something with it? Welcome to LEGO Batman on the Sega Genesis. The text between levels tells us what our goal is. I asked a Ukrainian friend to translate it. He's never seen or played the game, but his translation seems completely accurate to what you actually do in the game, so I trust it. Excuse me, let me just fucking switch gears here. LEGO Batman, Sega Genesis, right. So, part of the reason I'm playing this is just because it's so fucking weird that it exists, but another reason I'm playing it is because it's not actually that shitty. It is a Russian bootleg, an unlicensed Russian bootleg. Obviously, LEGO Batman was never meant to come out for the Sega Genesis, let alone in 2014, or as an action platformer. The sprite graphics seem to be stolen from the LEGO Batman mobile game, but I can't find any footage of the original 2008 mobile game, so I can't confirm for certain. The level graphics do seem to be original, as do the 2D studs. Up here we'll see the initials BMB written in studs. That's the developer of this game, BMB. They've made a few other Russian bootleg games, notably LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean and Iron Man, on the Sega Genesis also. Now, I think we should actually start discussing the game mechanics so I can talk about the game design. Firstly, all Batman can do is jump and punch, but considering how short the game is, I really don't find that an issue. I've seen a few other sources, and yes, those sources do exist, complain about the controls. I think the controls are fine. Batman's jump is floaty, but as you can see by the animation, it kinda fits. You hold the jump button down to jump higher, and he basically glides to the ground. Works real well. As for the second thing he can do, punching, well, I hope you're really good at mashing the attack button, because that's all you do for the combat in this game. That's not to say there isn't some strategy required, but it basically just amounts to standing in the perfect spot where your punch reaches them, but theirs does not reach you. The only other hazard in the game is spikes, which may seem easy to jump over given Batman's floaty jump, but you should not underestimate the spikes as they have very poor hit detection and not in your favor. The hitbox for the spikes extends a bit past where the actual spikes are, so even if you land next to the spikes and are perfectly in the clear, you will still get hit. Now, for most of the game you can easily adjust to this, as I did, and then the game becomes rather easy. Making it through the game without dying at all is not easy, as your health carries over between stages, but the game on the whole, kinda easy, yeah. I remember a few sources complaining the game was also unreasonably hard, so the plan was to do a no-death run of the game, and upload that, and this is almost a no-death run. Almost, but there's one particular challenge in the game which kind of ruins the whole easy thing this game has going on. Now, something I do genuinely like is that after playing through this game 3 times, I found there are exactly enough health kits and 1-ups scattered throughout the level for you to make it through the game, even if you're really bad at it, save for that one challenge I mentioned just earlier. Some of the level layouts, while I wouldn't call them creative, at least encourage some pathfinding. You know, the environment isn't dull looking, the graphics are actually quite nice, they look Lego-y, it is a Lego game. And as far as I can tell, the environmental graphics are original. Even though the platforming will never challenge you outside of the spikes, the variation in platforms and the way they're placed, I think that's enough to carry the game for the, 20 minutes it goes? Probably 16 minutes if you don't die. It's kind of a shame the game doesn't provide any platform challenges outside of the spikes, because not only are the spikes bad platforming challenges because the hit detection is bad, but the jump is actually floaty enough to allow for more skilled movement. And the sprite of Batman, you can easily maneuver it off the ledge slightly and then jump to allow for more precise jumps that give you a lot more length. It is not quite a dedicated glide function, but it's close enough for me. I think there's only one place in the entire game that Batman's floaty jump is actually used for any, long jumps. Most of the time it's just jumping over really short spikes. So you may wonder why I'm, not shitting all over this game. It's because I really don't think it's all that bad. The combat is simple and easily cheesed, but considering cheesing it is the only way to survive, I'm willing to call the cheese intentional. Alright. The game is nice enough to have enough health kits and 1-ups so that the average person could beat the game, except for the one challenge that is far too difficult and shouldn't be expected of anyone. I wouldn't be nearly as lenient with this game, except it is available on the Sega Genesis, and you can play it on actual Sega Genesis and Sega Mega Drive hardware. And compared to other 2D platformers on the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive, the fact that this game can be so easily played and completed and isn't fighting you the whole time, that's a big plus for me. Like, again, aside from that one challenge I keep bringing up, I think anyone could easily sit down, play, and beat this game if they're familiar with games. Even children, which is presumably the target audience of this game. At least I would think so. I can't be certain. And I will grant you, if this game came out when the Genesis was new, paying full price for a cartridge that will only last you 16 to 20 minutes if you can overcome that one challenge does kinda suck. But I would much prefer a game that only lasts 16 to 20 minutes and is fair to all those Genesis games I played where I spent 2 weeks on a 40-minute game, because it would just not give me what I earned and I did not memorize it enough yet. And I don't mean unfair in the sense that I like some unfair games that are just so ridiculous in their mechanics and obtuse game design that they require some really out-of-the-box thinking, especially beat-em-ups. But I can't recall any Genesis platformers I played that were that kind of unfair. Anyway, this is the level where they make actual use of Batman's gliding mechanic for something. Again, it's not a dedicated glide mechanic, but if we glide below the finished platform, we get a 1-up. And if we glide a bit further, by stepping closer to the edge of the platform this time, we will reach the level goal. I hope that was satisfying, because that's as far as the gliding mechanics go. If you are interested in buying an actual physical copy of this game for whatever reason, I'm sorry to inform you that the original print of the game can't seem to be found anywhere anymore. All that's left are reproduction carts. The original print of the game looked like this, and the reproduction carts do not have the little design on the side of the cartridge, and the reproduction carts also come in much bigger boxes. So if you ever care about looking for an authentic copy of LEGO Batman on the Mega Drive, this is what it looks like. Not that I imagine too many people would care about finding the official original print of a bootleg Russian Genesis game, but if you're a collector or something like that, there you go, that's what the original, real copies look like. Do not fall for any fakes. And you may be thinking, surely no one would bother to make fake reproduction carts of something like LEGO Batman on the Mega Drive, but you would be wrong. For example, this right here, this is on eBay, and this is a fake copy of LEGO Batman on the Mega Drive. Not published by the original publisher, and does not have the artwork or design of the original cartridges. So, surprise, this is this year's Christmas video. The second half of this game takes place on the goddamn North Pole, and the second half of this game is about getting Santa's stolen presents from a bunch of criminal Santa impersonators, and then freeing Santa himself. It's pretty ideal for a kid's game, honestly, and there aren't a lot of Christmas games, so this also fills that criteria. You know, you're looking for more Christmas games, this is one of them. Now, if there is someone out there, like a friend of yours, who collects bootleg games or retro games, you know, this might be a funny thing to get them for Christmas, because it is Christmas themed, and it's just such an absurd thing to actually exist for real in real life. But again, you can't find original copies anymore, so might as well just get him a ROM or a reproduction cart. But I mean, you should also, like, make sure they're going to play the game, so that way they get to the Christmas theme part, otherwise it's kinda pointless. I'm not saying giving them a collector's item is inherently pointless, but, like, you gotta at least make sure they see the Christmas shit. Alright? Otherwise, what are you doing? Because the fucking second half of the game is Christmas themed, and that's pretty rad. The gameplay in this second half of the game is a bit different. Instead of just heading toward the goal, we have to collect a key, and then use that key to open a cage that's holding a present. And then we collect the present and move on to the next level. This allows for some slightly more creative level layouts. Sometimes it's just going to the end of the stage and then back to the start. But other times there's a bit more to it than that. Allows for some variety in the gameplay, which is Surprising in a game that's only 20 minutes long to begin with, but I guess 20 minutes of uninterrupted Russian bootleg gameplay is kind of a lot by most people's standards. I wish I could tell you exactly how I got here, like playing this, how I found this, and how I'm playing it right, and how I wound up, doing this for you right now. But I really can't remember exactly. At some point, I just fell down a big hole of bootleg games, and I wondered, hey, are any of these games, technically original? I know they all have stolen assets, but do any of them have, original level design or anything like that? And then I found this, and then I found a couple videos on it, one of them being a long play on original hardware, and I was like, hey, I wonder how this actually plays. And I wondered that for, a fucking week. And then I finally got around to playing it, and I'm like, hey, this isn't that bad, I could actually play this. And then I did play it 3 times, without cheating or using save states in any way. And I think that is a big positive of this game, is that most of it can be played reasonably without cheating by a normal person that might like 2D platformers, which is the kind of thing you might expect and want from a game called Lego Batman for your Sega Genesis. I'm not sure who bought Lego Batman on the Sega Genesis, besides people knowing it's a bootleg, but surely someone must have bought it in its home country, and not just for laughs, right? Otherwise, why would it have been made? I'm going to put a link to the person that long played this game on original hardware in the description, because I think they deserve the attention. While the other videos about this game were entertaining, I wouldn't exactly say they were nearly as informative. I found the commentary by the people making the videos to be entertaining and funny, but not really helpful as to actually analyzing the game. Oh, by the way, some of the levels have a frozen Mario sprite, like this right here. A frozen Mario sprite, just kind of standing there. I think that's really cute, actually. Shows there's at least a little bit of soul here. It also means Mario is frozen to death, but, it happens to the best of us. Sometimes I wonder if I should, more often link videos I've watched about games I play, because I watch a lot of videos and read a lot of reviews before actually playing and recording commentary for something, as I've discussed previously. But then I realize that's not my fucking job. Usually when a review or a piece of content is really good or I think it's worth seeing, I bring it up anyway. Like that time I brought up the Nintendo Life review for 13 Wishes in my 13 Wishes playthrough. It's most of the time I find out more about these games through sources I think are either terrible, hate, or I'm completely indifferent toward. And I'm not gonna make you a big citation list of shit, alright? I could, but I'm not going to. I don't feel like it. It would be physically possible for me to actually put notations, that you could click on in the description for everything I'm referencing next to timecodes. I could do that, but I'm not going to. I go the extra amount of effort to actually look up reviews and other videos and factor that into the commentary I'm making, which is more than a lot of other people do. But I'm not quite so effortful as to actually, individually list every single source. That's just not going to happen. Now, if we were having some sort of, debate or something, and I was, trying to change your mind in, an official setting where it mattered, then yes, I would have plenty of references and citations and notations for you. And don't think I just leave the good shit lying around on the internet where it might disappear either. No. Some of those reviews and videos I just have saved because I like them. There's a particular review for Gormeaty on the Nintendo Wii that I really like, and that's saved right now on my hard drive. So is a review for Pokemon Battle Revolution from a website called The Wire, spelled with 2 I's because it was a Wii website, the Nintendo Wii. I actually have those pages saved because I think they're important. I also think quite a large amount of Nintendo Life reviews are important because they review games that often get little to no exposure at all. But they're generally really good about preserving their reviews, unlike some other websites, so I don't worry about that too much. Nintendo Life is just a generally good website to get information on games that nobody cares about on the Wii U, and Switch, and Nintendo Wii. Speaking of preserving game information, lately Power Dork has been playing The Sims 3 on PS3, and instead of an actual booklet manual, they had the manual online at a URL you had to go to. The problem is the URL doesn't work anymore. It's gone. And no copy of The Sims 3 manual for PS3 seems to exist on the internet at all. There is one topic on EA's help forum where someone is asking where the manual is, and one of the community managers just basically said, I have no fucking clue, sorry. Like, the manual for Sims 3 on the PS3 just does not fucking exist anymore anywhere, as far as I can tell. And an official representative of EA basically said, I can't fucking find it, must not exist. I'll leave the thread open, though, just in case. And while The Sims 3 on PS3 does have a semi-interactive tutorial, The Sims 3 is a complicated fucking game. And you're not likely to completely memorize all of that goddamn information in which button does what in which menu. So having a manual is very fucking helpful, but one doesn't exist anymore. If you're wondering where I'm going with this shit, just save anything that seems even mildly important. Like, if you have the space, just fucking save it. Save that webpage, save that JPEG, save that meme. Please, save it. Because somebody somewhere is going to want it later, and if you didn't save it, they probably didn't. The guy who long played this game on actual hardware, he's actually where I got this ROM from in the first place. If he did not have that ROM available, I probably would not have actually bothered to search for it, because so many ROM sites are getting taken down lately. Look, another Frozen Mario. Still kinda cute, still kinda morbid. Anyway, there's a health kit. If you're wondering where the music in this game is stolen from, the answer is many places. I will link to the one I've managed to find, but there's just so many. I couldn't find them all. It seems to be all stolen remixes of themes from other games, because of course they didn't bother to compose music themselves. Of course they didn't. It's not like the music really adds anything to the game, it just feels kind of out of place and it drowns out the sound effects. The music tracks also vary wildly in volume, like someone just kind of fucking dropped in there without any, thought into how it would sound. Anyway, this is the final level of the game, and it is absolute fucking bullshit. You have to make it through a gauntlet of spikes, but there's a really low ceiling, and the hit detection on the spikes is so fucked up. It's just nearly impossible to judge your jumps properly. Like, when I said there was one challenge in this game that would stop this game from being, genuinely easy and friendly, it's this one. Up until this point, this game is perfectly playable, fair, and friendly, but when you get here, it's just a big ol' fuck you. These ceilings are much too small. Your hitbox is much too big. The spikes hitbox is much too big. I would say it can't be done, but it obviously can. You just have to find your way around the invisible fucking hitbox for the spikes. And I am keeping in my failed attempts, so that way you can see I actually succeeded without cheating or any editing. It just took a few tries, that's all. I wish I could give you a strategy for how to jump over these spikes reliably, but honestly, I don't even know how I did it. I must have fucking channeled the Force or some shit, because every strategy I tried seemed to just not fucking work. Like, I thought maybe looking at the environmental sprites and jumping when I reach one of those might help. I thought maybe counting down like a timer or something might help. I thought maybe visualizing an extended hitbox for the spikes might help. Thought of everything I fucking could. Didn't help one damn lick. And so I can't tell you how I got through it eventually. I just smashed my head against it until I won, I guess. And this is why this isn't a no-death run. Perfectly capable of beating the game without dying, except for this level. Because fuck this shit. And you can't tell me the developer didn't know it was like this, because this is the whole fucking level, is these spikes. And one enemy at the start for some reason. But yes, if you do manage to make it through the gauntlet of spike fuckery and get the key and make your way back up to Santa, you will win the game. And you will see the ending, you will see me rescue Santa. It's not much of an ending, but I'm glad I reached it. I was going to be very upset if I couldn't beat the game without cheating. So that's Lego Batman on the Sega Mega Drive. Is it better than the normal Batman games? Hell fucking no. The normal Batman games are made by Traveler's Tales and John Burton. But it's not offensively awful. I played through it 3 times, and I probably will play through it again casually if I ever find an actual original copy. But that's the whole game. Merry Christmas.